Let's rock and roll. 5, 6, 7, 8. Man. Woo. Ooh. There. Ooh. Ding ding. Hello, wherever you are, whatever the time, welcome back to this series where I talk all about starting the conversation. Like I said in my previous videos, having this conversation can be uncomfortable and can be awkward, but it will never trump the feelings that you were struggling with at the time. And it's never really as bad as we make it out to be. The more we talk about mental health, the easier it'll become. And in turn, the more accessible healthcare will be as a result. That's just my view anyway. But I don't need to tell you how important it is to talk about mental health because we already know that. But in this episode today, I'm going to be talking about when we start the conversation, when we talk about it, when it is the right time. I suppose the short answer is whenever you're comfortable. There's no right time, there's no wrong time, but it's really important that you know it is always the time. I would say it depends on who you're talking to. So to help us out, I've made a list of the 3 examples of people that you would see and when the right time would be to talk to them. You know I love my lists, so without further ado, here are 3 examples. Number 1, talking to a teacher. So if you've already taken the step of approaching a teacher, a mentor, a colleague, your boss, the time that you're probably going to talk to this person is during school, during work, during working hours. Because of this, make sure it's not in a break time that's shorter than 15 minutes. The shorter your time frame, the more rushed you'll be, and then the more rushed you are, the more you'll miss things out and downplay the things that might really be stressing you out. Because the school bell might go mid-sentence, you might have to check another email, they might have to pick up the phone. So make sure that it's in a lunch hour or before or after you start work or school, so you don't have to abide by some sort of professional timetable. Because talking about mental health does not have a timetable. Example number 2, talking to a friend. I'm going to suggest the best time to talk to your friend is when you're both free, obviously. What I mean by that is maybe a weekend or a day when you are both entirely free. Just so that once again you don't have a time restraint. If you decide to meet up with your friend at 10 o'clock and they say that they've got to meet their mum at 11:30, it might put them in an awkward position because they might really want to still listen to you but not have the time to. I feel like it puts pressure on the conversation that way for both people. Also, don't just sit in a random cafe and drink overly priced coffee. It doesn't need to be as formal as that. You could just go for a walk on the beach, a little late night drive, or you could organise like a movie night or something where you, a friend or friends meet together in a way that's chilled, where you won't bump into random people that you might know and where the space is sort of your own. As soon as you start talking about things that are quite private in a public space, it can be sometimes a little bit awkward, especially in Jersey where I live, which is a teeny tiny island that you probably won't see on your map. I can guarantee you that I'll probably bump into someone's uncle, sister's brother's aunt's niece who I went to school with 3 years ago. So what I'm saying here is do something. Don't just meet up to talk. Do an activity, whether it's drinking wine and eating cheese or taking a cliff path walk. Do something. Don't just centre the whole meeting about talking about your mental health, because then it becomes this huge and big and dramatic when actually we're just trying to normalise it. And finally, example number 3, when you're talking to your family. Now, I found this very difficult, and I think one of the questions that I would ask myself before I went to sleep most nights were, when am I going to tell my family? Now, this isn't because my family aren't approachable. It's not because I don't have a good relationship with my family. It's just that I was so worried that it would upset them or that they might blame themselves as a result. My family were the last people I shared my difficulties with. And looking back on it now, I wish they were the first. But there's no rush, and actually there's no right order either. Really, it's whoever you feel that you can talk to at the time. And you must not fear offending anybody, because I think that's what used to eat me alive. Unfortunately, in my case, I was honest with my family when I was at crisis level. This was extremely difficult for both me and them because we were suffering just as much as each other. However, they were really understanding. They weren't pushy or intense, and they didn't bombard me with questions. In fact, they gave me time. And despite not being able to understand what I was going through, they sure as hell wanted to learn. If your family bombard you with lots of questions and are pushy for you to tell them what's going on, it's probably because they love you and they're not quite sure what to do. But it is completely okay to say, guys, I need a little bit more time. Please respect that this isn't easy for me. When talking to your family, do it at home. Or if you're seeing a doctor or therapist, invite them along to one of your sessions so that the person you're seeing can support you in telling them. There's never an easy time to speak to your family about it, because especially if you're close to them, it's your family that you worry the most about their response. I didn't find it easy at all to speak to my parents, and that's still a journey that I'm on at the moment. And that's because I love them so much, and I know that they would do anything to support me, but I think the fear of letting them down hindered that. I actually went about to actively hide it from my family, and that may have included making up plans I had with friends when actually I was staying in bed all day, or watching a film with them downstairs after dinner, telling them that I just fancied watching a movie when actually I didn't feel safe being on my own. And now the more and more that I'm beginning to be honest with them, the easier it's actually become. And though it hasn't been an easy ride for either of us, we're definitely now on this journey together, which has made my whole recovery easier. Isn't the right word, but it's made my recovery more stable. So looking back now, when would I have spoken to my family? Probably when it was all kicking off. So if I had to give anybody advice as to when they should speak to their family, I would honestly say as soon as possible, because that was a mistake that I made, which could have left them in a pretty bad place. So to finish, it's whenever you feel comfortable. You're probably not going to feel comfortable the first time you start a conversation about your mental health, should you be struggling. But like with everything, practice makes it easier. So if you need to practice with people that you feel more approachable first, that's fine. Like I said before, there's no right order with who you should speak to, and there's never a time that's better than another. But don't think you're a burden to anybody. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Think about doing it at a time where there's no time constraints. Try and make sure to do something whilst you're talking about it. Because while the sole purpose is to address your mental health, if you do an activity at the same time, I feel that it makes it less awkward. Whenever me and my best friend are having a hard time, we like to go on cliff path walks around the island. We go to our favourite beaches and we just sit and we chill and we skim rocks and we just talk and talk and talk until either we can find a solution or agree that we can find somebody else to find that solution for us. But I found, since freely talking about it and being okay to do so, I feel like the weight that I've been carrying around on my shoulders has been lifted off dramatically. When I look back now, I definitely tell my younger self to have those conversations ASAP. So do it. I dare you. Encourage others, encourage yourself to start speaking about your mental health, be it that you're in a good place, a bad place, or not quite sure. Because it's inevitable that our mental health is going to suffer at different points in our life. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because there's lots more awesome content coming with faces that you might just know. Thank you for watching. This is such a dream. Let's carry on getting this ball rolling. God bless.